Global business services play a critical role for enterprises worldwide. For dsm-firmenich, the role of global business services model is of paramount importance. As a player in the nutrition, health, and beauty space, the company has been creating a lot of impact. Joining me today is Manoj Kalra, Global Head for the Group Business Services and Senior Vice President at dsm-firmenich. In this conversation, we'll hear from Manoj on his role and responsibilities, key focus areas, how he is trying to transform the GBS business through generative AI, and his focus on sustainability. Manoj, welcome to this conversation.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be part of this conversation.
Manoj, before we deep dive into the questions, could you take us through your career and how did you land up at GBS?
Well, it's been a really fun journey, right? So I'm a finance professional by qualification, a chartered accountant, and I started my career with a traditional finance job. But somewhere during that journey in the late 90s, when this whole industry was being set up, I realized that perhaps I'm cut out for something different.
Right.
And that's where I went and experimented with this with my first role. And I think since then I've hit my sweet spot. And with that journey, I've evolved in the last 2 decades, just building processes, understanding what companies need to get done, and how do you strengthen and build this backbone for an organization that really serves in all times of need in providing the right level of services. So that's how it's evolved. So from a traditional finance role into a now GBS kind of role.
So you've worked with companies like McKinsey, you've worked with Lehman Brothers,
Yes.
Reuters.
Yes.
What has been one of those learnings that you could share for our audience?
Well, it's been an evolution, but my learning here is where there's a company that has strong ethos and values, definitely you have much better employees, colleagues, and processes. And I think with that, then you have better products and you have happy customers. So that whole cycle, when you work for these great names, and sometimes you work for names that have not been so great, you can actually see the difference of what makes a good company and what doesn't make a good company. And that for me has been a big learning.
Absolutely. Speaking specifically of global business services and your role at dsm-firmenich, what are your key focus areas, and what are your priorities for the next 12 months?
Got it. So we provide finance, IT, procurement, HR services to the organization, spread across 7 locations. That's US, Brazil, Switzerland, Netherlands, Spain, China, and India, Hyderabad being our largest location, and colleagues around the world that work from east to west follow the sun.
Right.
So that's been our core process where we use technology, we use the best of people, and we provide that service. We're making sure that at any given time, our organization has the right level of capabilities, the right level of technology, and is able to serve its customers at any given time. So that's the kind of focus that we are. Next 12 months, we've just gone through a merger. 9th May was day 1 of dsm-firmenich, and we're very, very happy and very proud of this merger. I think it's a merger of equals. We bring the best of 2 worlds together. And now the next priority is to build a GBS for the new company.
What was the role that the global business services played in this merger? And any points that you would want to highlight?
Well, I think as part of this merger, what we're going to do is now play a role, because what we really have to do is understand the 2 organizations, the needs of the organization. How do we create a common structure that not only positions us to be best in class, but also helps our customers and our overall customers as dsm-firmenich to get the best services. That's going to be, the whole role that we play. As far as the merger is concerned, when we were designing the operating model of the new company, we all, as a company, we said that GBS is going to be part of the operating model, and that was a decision that was taken at that time. So that clearly shows that our company believes in the value that a GBS can give back to the organization.
Absolutely. While M&As have been challenging that way, so any challenges that you anticipate and you would want to mitigate right from the start itself?
I think in M&As, it's always 2 cultures coming together. It's 2 ways of working together, finding the right balance, respecting everyone's space, making sure that changes are well adapted and well accepted. I think that's the process that we're going to go through. And we have to be very mindful of this. We have to be mindful of what we're trying to achieve and how we're going to try to achieve it. So I think it's about co-creation, it's about coexisting, and it's about co-delivering.
Right. Last 8-9 months, Manoj, there's been a lot of talk about generative AI with ChatGPT and Bards of the world coming into the play. How are you looking to transform the GBS function with the power of generative AI?
Change has been inevitable through this journey. Not just the last 8 months, I would say the last 2 decades has all been with change, right? whether it was robotic process automation, whether it's going to be ChatGPT, whether it's AI. I think as GBS, we are poised to be the front runners in adopting this. How do we increase our customer experience? How do we increase the experience of our service desk by using this kind of technology? How do we bring the best of it without taking away the human intelligence is going to be key here. I believe that a customer experience, and my customer could be anywhere, it could be an internal colleague, it could be an external customer. The best of it comes when you have the combination of the right level of technology, the right level of human intellect, and the feel.
Right.
When these three things come together, that's when you bring the best of service. And I think that's where generative AI needs to be combined with human intellect and feelings to be able to bring the best of it. A very great example is if you interact with a bot that keeps answering you questions and doesn't take you back to a human being,
Right.
that's where the irritation starts stemming in. There has to be that sweet point where you're able to transcend from the bot to a human being. And that's where AI, ChatGPT needs to be configured to be able to draw that line and balance between this.
While you touched upon the areas where you are looking to use generative AI application, any instances where you have already started?
We are simulating this in closed environments where we are trying to experiment right now. For example, you take all your leave policies, all your HR policies, put them in a sandbox and apply ChatGPT and then start asking questions. And you see the responses that are coming in. So I think we're at that stage where we're really using this quite effectively and we're seeing the response that's coming out. But there is magic to be created in this. There's definitely magic and there's potential. And I think as GBS, we're very well positioned to start leveraging this.
So you sound quite optimistic that way.
Definitely. But every change comes with its challenges. And, we've gone through changes. Every second year, there's a new technology. As long as you are a technology evangelist and you're ready to adapt and experiment, we're good with that.
Right. Another key area for enterprises across, has been the focus on ESG. Businesses have started to look at their operations from a sustainability lens. Now, how are you looking at the whole ESG factor, and what are the areas that you are looking to drive this?
For me, one of the prides I take for working for dsm-firmenich is our focus on sustainability. Even before this buzzword, dsm-firmenich has been very high into sustainability. But having said that, how can I make a meaningful difference, or how can the teams that we work with make a meaningful difference? I see a three-pronged approach in that. First of all, as GBS, we manage large facilities, just like the office we're sitting in right now in Hyderabad. How do we make sure that whatever we have done in this office contributes to sustainability? For every product that we have used here, we are making sure that it complies with sustainability norms to the best of our ability. That's one piece that we see. Second is, how do we operate this facility on a day-to-day basis? What are those practices we have inbuilt here that actually make people feel accountable to sustainability? As simple as how do we leverage technology for minimizing food wastage? That's one aspect of it.
So you have that.
Exactly. How do we make sure that you get one tissue paper at a time in the restroom? Generally we have this habit of pulling 3-4 tissues and wiping our hands. We have used technology to make sure that one tissue gets dispensed at a time because one is enough. These are ways in which we have made it into a day-to-day practice of this facility. But the third aspect is, as GBS, how can we work with our corporate office, our head office, and start contributing to the rest of the world, the requirements of the organization, to make sure that our sustainability standards are being met? And that's work in progress. That's the thinking that we have. But I think with these three areas, definitely we can make an impact. And that's where we are focusing on how we as GBS can make an impact on sustainability, on ESG, not just for the parent organization, but even for the ecosystem around us.
Another piece that I just wanted to get your views was getting the right skills. That's again very important with the kind of transformation that enterprises are looking at, with the sustainability piece that you spoke of. Is finding the right talent a concern?
Talent has always been a key concern. But one thing you have to understand is the pace at which technology is evolving. We're not going to get ready-made talent because everybody is learning at the same pace and at the same time. If you're talking about sustainability, people are learning at the same pace at which I'm learning. So you're not going to get ready-made talent unless you're looking for very specialized niche and senior talent.
Skilling would be required.
And skilling should be done at the grassroots itself. So what we as an organization are doing now, we're tying up with universities where we go and talk to students upfront and we bring them here for long-term internships to experience, be part of the organization, and hopefully become a prospective colleague in that part. In that way, what you do is you train these colleagues on generative AI, on new technology, on sustainability. They feel it, they experience it, and they match it with the theory that they're reading, and they see it in action. And that's when you groom those early minds, the 22, 24-year-old minds, and make them ready for a corporate career. If you're trying to look for experienced talent, you're going to hunt for a needle in a haystack. Why don't we create the haystack ourselves together and make it accessible to all? That's how we're managing the talent value proposition. And when you're in a country like India, there is no dearth of universities and students.
Absolutely. So, hands-on experience is what you're looking
Exactly.
at.
Exactly.
Providing to the young generation, more so when these people want to work for brands who have a purpose.
Exactly. So when I go to universities and talk now, the first question I do get from students is, what are you doing on sustainability? Right. They don't ask, what's my career path going to be? That's the kind of shift I've seen in the nature of questions that I get.
While it's without doubt that GPS functions have been enabler for the enterprises, how do you see them in the future?
I just see them getting bolder, stronger, and humble. GBS, you should see GBS as a very strong backbone of an organization. And it's a backbone that keeps the organization moving, just like a human body. Right. At the same time, the heart is equally important, the arms are equally important, the rest of the limbs are equally important. So for me, as long as this backbone is strong, interconnected, respects the interdependencies, I only see GBS growing. Technology has enabled us to work from anywhere. COVID has allowed us to understand and learn how to work from anywhere. And with our whole University Connect and talent value proposition and the way we manage our centers, our ability to bring in talent at young stage is a lot easier. And with that, we are ready to prepare and serve our organization no matter what the overall goals are. Whether it's a merger, whether it's a divestment, whether it's acquiring new customers, acquiring new markets, we're there. We're ready to do it.
Absolutely. One final question that I had, Manoj, was, you're a certified scuba driver. Any lessons that you would want to share in terms of what scuba diving would have taught you?
That's an interesting one. So one of my most exciting dives is in a city called Oslob in Philippines. Right. Oslob is an hour's drive from Cebu. Cebu is an island in Philippines. Right. One of the things that happens in Oslob is every day in the morning you have whale sharks coming in, right? And those whale sharks are as long as 60 feet and 40 feet wide, so they're huge. There are two ways of entering the water as a scuba diver. One is you walk into the water, you stand on the edge and you walk. Second one is you tumble backwards. Right. And when you tumble backwards, your body turns 360 degrees. Right. It rotates. It takes a few seconds to stabilize. So in one of the dives when I did that, and I stabilized and I see this majestic shark coming and gliding by me, I was in a state of panic.
Who would not be?
Yes. And then my diver buddy, you always dive in pairs, right? He tapped me on the shoulder and prompted me to breathe because I forgot to breathe. I was so stunned, right? The learning from that, the question was about learning, is there are times when we are faced with crisis or, situations which could make us panic, as recent as COVID. Right. I think if you can take a deep breath, analyze the situation, you'd be able to come out of it very easily. Because what scuba diving teaches you is sometimes, you will be presented with situations where you need to react or act, but panicking will not help you, right? Because you're breathing and you have to take a decision. Your foot could get stuck in the weeds. How do you come out of that? So there's small experiences that kind of teach you that. And similarly, in our day-to-day life, we are caught in situations where either you can panic and react, or you can think and act. So what scuba diving teaches you is how to think and act. And that's what's been, helping us in moving and managing the organization.
Absolutely. Think and act. That always helps, Manoj. Right, Manoj, thank you so much for your time. It was great having this conversation with you.
Likewise, and it's a pleasure talking with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
That was Manoj Kalra speaking with us. Do stay tuned for more such interviews on ET Edge Insights. Thank you.